All right. My name is Roger Sherman. I am the Pitmaster and owner of the District Pit Barbecue Catering Company in DC here at Sherman Cellars for what seems like the 1000th time. Folks, I am going to do a pork chop grilling demo for you today. We're going to do it in a cast iron skillet for a couple of reasons. The first reason is because I didn't want to light a fire because I didn't think the elements were going to cooperate with us. And the second reason is because I'm going to do a little bit of a demo that I think is a lot more fun if you do it in a skillet as opposed to doing it directly over the fire. So we got pork chops here for you today. I try and keep these things about an inch thick. Really, I like them an inch and a half thick, but we'll go with what we got today. I like to season my pork chops very generously with a combination of salt, pepper, and garlic. Sometimes some red pepper flake, but not always, depending on what we've got available to us. I'm a steak guy myself, but pork chops are delicious. They make great sandwiches, and pork, you know, is a little sweeter, and it goes better sometimes with some of the other things that we got. So we're gonna throw these here in the cast iron skillet and turn the fire up real high, and then start counting down. There's not a whole lot to this. So I know a lot of people who, you know, we're not doing barbecue today, we're grilling in a cast iron skillet, but I know a lot of people who are nervous about doing barbecue or doing grilling. And I always try to remind people that cavemen did this, and this is very simple. It's not rocket science or anything like that. I like to tell people that barbecue and wine together, paired together, are the second oldest food and drink pairing in the world. The oldest food and drink pairing is fruit and water. Nobody wants any of that shit. Nobody's interested in that. We're not here for that. We're here to eat barbecue, and we're here to drink a lot of wine. So we're gonna have a lot of good wine for you today. So back to the pork chops here. So we season these very generously. When you're doing pork cooks a little bit slower than beef does typically, and you have to take it to a little bit higher temperature. So we've got the cast iron skillet here turned up as high as we can get it to go here. And we'll leave these on here for somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes aside. And then we'll flip them over, and you know we'll play some games with them to make them more succulent for you. All right, so the pork chops here. So we're cooking these, like I said, in the skillet. The reason why I like to cook pork chops and steaks in a skillet is because you don't lose any of the moisture. When I'm cooking in a grill, it's really nice because you get a whole bunch of smells and aromas because the fat and the grease drip into the coals, and they you know, it's pretty, it flames up a little bit, but all of that juice going into the flames is nice looking, it's sexy, but you lose a lot of the flavor. So I like to cook directly in a cast iron skillet. Usually when I do this demo, I actually cook on a grill in the cast iron skillet, so you're kind of getting both. About 3 minutes in, I'm timing this in my head. We'll flip these pork chops over here. I'm at a weird angle here. And then after we flip the pork chops are a little fattier than steaks in most instances, but I like to add an extra element of fat for a little bit more flavor. So we're gonna put in some whipped butter into the pan here. And you don't need a lot of it, but I'm gonna put a lot of it because it makes a lot of smoke, and I kind of like that. And you'll smell this if you're downwind of this. This is kind of cool. That melts down. And then I'm at this weird angle here, so I gotta hold the pan here. And then as the butter melts, you wanna start spooning it over top of the pork chops. And the reason for that is it to baste it? Yeah, kinda. Is it to add additional flavor into the meat? Yeah, maybe. Is it to look like you're doing something? That's really all it really comes down to. Pork chops, you gotta go a little bit, angle is killing me. You gotta go a little bit longer on the pork chops because I like them to be a little bit closer to 140 degrees. 145 degrees is really the perfect temperature for these things, but what happens is they end up continuing to cook a little bit after you've taken them off the fire. So we don't want to take them off too early, but we're pretty close here.
Yeah. Protect the winemaker at all costs.
I'm sorry, what was the question? So I'm gonna pull these now. And they're probably a little less than what I want them to be at, but put the top over top of them like that. All right, so here's the magic here. I'm gonna create a sauce for this. And by doing so, now the wind's gonna start blowing on us. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this whipped butter here. And then that is not even remotely the most important piece of it. The most important piece of it is an oak Chardonnay made by my good friend winemaker Mark Ward. And I'm gonna pour a lot of that in.
I got a new title, Two-Can Holder.
Yes.
Yep, two-can holder, I love it. Yeah. All right, so what we want to do here now, thank you, we're reducing down the alcohol.
That would be so hard.
And we'll stir this. I like to let the pork chops rest for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm gonna stir this and reduce this down for probably closer to 90 seconds. And then we'll turn this fire off and let Mark go stand back by his wife on the porch. You guys see my daughter and my future son-in-law showing up nice and late. I haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna let this union.
Oh, hush.
I'm still thinking about it.
I like how you pretend how you get a vote.
I got no vote. And the only reason I keep pouring wine in is because if it's less than half, they'll let me take it home. So this is the first time I've done a pork chop drilling demo in person. So you guys get the first shot at this. We usually do steaks. The reason why I wanted to do a pork chop demo is because everybody who has seen me do this demo on multiple occasions has asked me if, you know, does it make sense to use a red wine, a white wine in a reduction, because I always use red wines because I usually use steaks. I like to use a Cabernet Franc. Sometimes I like to use a Pinot Noir, but there was a lot of clamor for us to try and do something with a white wine. So I was like, okay, we'll do a pork chop and we'll do that with a white wine. So I picked a Chardonnay for it because it's usually a little heavier, it's a little more buttery than, you know, most of your other white wines. So I thought that would be a good mix. So I practiced this at home a couple of times. Dawn was fine with it, so I was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. All right, so here's the fun part. Now we're gonna cut into these steaks here. So the most important thing for you to remember when you're cutting into either a steak or a pork chop, when you're doing it in front of people as a demo, is to use the most comically large knife you can find. So if you guys want to come down, because we're going to give out samples. Chops here like this, and then the magic here is with the reduction. And then we'll give this one more twirl.
Pour it in slow motion.
Hold on. There we go. All right, that's your demo, folks. You got a pork chop.
Or not.
Come on, folks. Come on, folks. All right, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Make sure everybody else gets a piece.
Boy, that could not have been more complicated.
Wait till you get my bill.
Yeah, there you go.